We're trying. It looks like it reconnected again. All right, let's see if it reconnected again or not. We are going to see if it reconnected again or not. Let's see. Okay, video is back. Okay. I don't know what happened. That seems to be our rebroadcaster was having some problems. I don't know how much of the narrative we will get. How long has it been frozen? Did Egberto pay? You know, it's funny that Eric, the first thing that you would think about is whether Egberto paid the internet bill, right? Why would that be the first thing that you think of, Eric? Why couldn't there be, is Egberto's router okay? Is Egberto's, you know, there are a million of other things other than talking about me possibly not paying the bill. And by the way, you're here listening all the time. My dear, do you ever say, let's make sure that Egberto's paying the bill? Ah, come on, man. Don't be like that. All right. Okay. Let's get back busy. Let's get back busy. All right. How long was it frozen, folks? I don't know how long it was frozen. So tell me about it before I continue. How long was the network frozen? ISPs in the U.S. have regional monopolies and either suck. Just a few minutes. Okay. Thank you very much, Rudden. Let me tell you something. Okay. That is so true. We just got our second ISP in Kingwood. And after the problems I'm having today, I may actually go ahead and change to TACOS, which is the other one, because we woke up this morning without internet, and after I did some rebooting, etc., it came back, and then somehow this happened. I am not sure what happened there. Anyway, let's get back to the thing at hand. I want to make sure that those of you that are on the internet actually heard the narrative that I gave when I stated that we are the government. Did any of that come across appropriately? We are the government. Tell me, if you're listening now, if that came across where I made that narrative that we need to stop people from believing in the Powell Manifesto that tries to give us the impression, yes, but you didn't finish. Okay, thank you, Michael. All right, so here's, for those who missed it, I'm going to repeat it here in a sort of a minute slab. The Powell Manifesto, written by Lewis Powell, a Democrat, who then was ascended to the Supreme Court by Richard Nixon, wrote this document that says ultimately it is saying, we need to make sure that people isolate themselves from the government and consider the government an inefficient, bad entity, so that then they would have their faith in corporations and the private sector. Not realizing that government is we the people working together for the betterment of us all, while the corporations are a group of people working just for the sole benefit of those people. It's that simple. So let's get it right. Those who believe in hating the government are enslaved in their minds. It has worked with them. The Powell memo has worked with them. Your mind is enslaved if you love corporations. If you love the private sector more than you like government, is equivalent to saying you love others more so than yourself. It is that simple. There was a concerted effort to put that into your head. Government is bad. Government is bad. There was a concerted effort designed to put that in your head. And it has worked with many. It has worked with many. Government is as good as you are willing to invest in it. Period. Nothing more, nothing less. So if you don't like government, you do not like yourself. If you don't like government, then it is equivalent to saying you hate yourself. Now, going back to the topic of discussion today, which is MAGA is a clear and present danger to us all. And I need everyone to really understand that it isn't specifically what MAGA has the capacity to do. Because MAGA was created with a bunch of people that Donald Trump himself says, I like stupid people. Okay? That's what. That is what Donald Trump says. Mr. Lee Grant says you don't need to invest in government. They pick your pocket. The reality is, if government is picking your pocket, it's you who are picking your own pocket. Whoa, that is rich to say that I don't want tax money paid to be wasted. Punto final. No, that's not what you're saying. That is what they want you to believe you're saying. If your tax money is wasted, it is wasted by what corporations are doing to us right now. If you refuse to understand it, then you are you are remaining willfully ignorant. If I show you methodically how corporations rip us off in defense, how corporations rip us off with pharmaceuticals, how corporations rip us off as they build our roads, how corporations rip us off as they create toll roads and all these other things, and you sit back and come back and say, oh no, government is wasteful, government rip us off. No, again, you missed the point. You chose to be willfully ignorant. You chose exactly who Donald Trump say you are. I like stupid people because I can tell them something and they believe it. I can even tell them government is bad, even though I'm the head of government. I can tell them government is bad and they're not going to think it through. They're not going to say, wait a minute, Republicans, why do you want to be in government so badly if government is bad? Tax money is wasted right now and we're being taxed subliminally. That is ridiculous. Tell me, where is your tax dollars wasted more in government than with the private sector? Give me a particular instance. I don't want you to tell me what the right wings are telling you. Give me an instant in how you can say your tax dollars are wasted right now. Give it to me. Bad inflation is not something. Bad inflation is actually, you think it's bad inflation? Let me go ahead and give you a little piece here. I want you guys to listen to this because Larry Summers had something interesting to say yesterday. I want you to listen to it. Economist and former Obama advisor Lawrence Summers had an interesting statement. Banana Republicans. Listen to this and then we'll take it on the other side.
I think the banana Republicans who are saying that what happened on January 6th was nothing or okay are undermining the basic credibility of our country's institutions. And that in turn feeds through for inflation. Because if you can't trust the country's government, why should you trust its money? So I think it's terribly important that we take the temperature down in Washington, that we recognize behavior that's just out of bounds of reasonable and decency.
And oh, I didn't finish the piece. I stopped it too early. But that is what he says. It's indecent. Here's the deal. MAGA, if you want to know why we have inflation, it's not Biden inflation. It's MAGAflation. MAGA created MAGA was the reason why the pandemic got as bad as it is, to kill over 1 million people. MAGA is the reason why the healthcare system is going to hell right now, because we created all those DCEs. I can go MAGA after MAGA after MAGA things that cause our problems right now. And by the way, it is interesting because in those regards, where the private sector is sucking you dry, you don't see it. And again, you don't see it because you chose to buy the spin. You chose to buy the spin from those still preaching the Powell memo. Michael Rudnick says, Noam Chomsky, government has a flaw that General Electric doesn't have. The government is potentially democratic. There's a way of influencing the government and participating in it. I'm not joking. Just think about it. When you're saying that the government is doing this and that the government is doing us, yes, the government is reflecting the interests of the people in it, but they could be representing us. There is no way for private tyrannies to be representing us. So yes, they would like you to hate the government. There is a lot wrong with government. There's a lot to be hated about it. There is a lot of change about it. But the main thing about it is you can participate in it. and there are always ways of changing what it does. And therefore, for at least people who believe in democracy, gives us advantages that other systems of powers don't have. It's potentially our system of power, and the private corporations aren't. Again, many of you who always want to leave something to the private sector don't see how you are enslaving yourself to a few. You don't go to a board. You don't have any say in the board of directors. You don't even have a say if you own regular standard common stock. The executives who work for the main investors in the company have all the say, and their sole purpose is to empower, to profit those who own the corporations, those who own the avenues within the private sector. So please, people, I know it's hard to accept. I know it's hard to change your mind and say, "Oh my God, I should not hate government. I should participate in government, and I should put the effort in to make government work." But you see, too many people are too lazy. Many of us are too lazy. Either we're too, but I don't mind us being too lazy if we still say, well, let's let the people who believe in government, let government work. Egberto, so the let me go to Lou first. Lou says, yep, you are on point, Egberto. How would you not like government? Government is the people. Thank you, Roberto. You hit the money on the head. Egberto, half our discretionary budget goes to the military, according to Michael Rudden, which is true, which is more than next 10 countries combined. That's a bit of government waste, though the conservatives in the chat will never admit that it's a valid point. I mean, yeah, the military is the biggest wasteful thing. We build a bunch of tanks that every 15, 20 years we blow them up and build some more, right? It's crazy that our minds are so destroyed by the Powell memo and those who base their lives on the Powell memo. It's amazing. No lo puedo creer. Sorry that your internet is funky, my dear Melanie Keelan. Daniel Ledo says, if you love government, you hate humanity. No, it's the other way around. You hate humanity. E2247 says, PDR keeps getting knocked off YouTube. I think we're back on. I'm pretty sure we're back on now. I mean, I don't know what kept on happening for a while. I don't know if it's our rebroadcaster or what, but I can tell you right now that we're back on, my friend. We're back on a new channel. Continuing. Let's see what else we got here. But our counts are low because people keep having to go to another level. Anyway, let's see. Eric Hayes is overspending and now way to freaking pay for it. Again, that's a misunderstanding of economics. You are an accountant. I know an accountant isn't an economist, but my God, at least you could, especially being here at Politics Done Right, you could make an effort. Make an effort. Lee Grant, define what MAGA is. Make America Great is actually MAGA, right? But it's Make America Great Again, as if America was ever, well, we're not going to go there. But let me just tell you the reality. The reality is MAGA stands for the people who follow Trump with all that he stands for. Let's see what else we have. Eric Egberto is, so profits you made, will you give it back to the government or non-profit organization since it was evil? I never said profits were evil. I just said I want a big government, or the right-sized government, so that no corporations or company can supersede the power of the people. And with regards to the profit that I made over the decades that I've been here in the United States, every year I get a piece of paper from Social Security that shows how much I paid into Social Security, how much I paid into Medicare, and I tell you what, it's a bunch. I've done my part to society. That I've drawn down all my stuff to do what I'm doing to make a better America, that's a different thing. But let me tell you something. I was never an evil privateer. All right, Macarena says, yes, military overspending, sure, but is serving its purpose now, Ukraine or Taiwan? No, it's not serving its purpose. No, it's not. Alistair Waters says, I've just gone to keep watching from Facebook. Thank you, Alistair. Roberto Lewis says, and we also We also give away military equipment to different countries, millions of dollars, but we don't talk about millions of dollars of waste. And we don't give too often to our own. Your messaging says profits are evil. No, you chose to take that out of the message. And you know why? Because you were programmed. You were enslaved into believing that anybody who goes ahead and tells the truth about corporations somehow is anti-profit. I am not. Is MAGA wants to bring us back to when exactly? The 1950s is the most common answer. Back then, top marginal tax rate was 90%, and it should be there again for the marginal tax rate should be there. Hey, conservatives, that sounds good to me. How about you? Can we have Trumpism without Trump? Yes, we can. Because what Trump did is Trump gave the pelotas to people to support Trumpism. That's what he did. Okay, let me see what I can do here. I need to play my PDR support, and then I'll be right back. Politics Done Right depends on you to keep doing what we do. What do? We make sure to keep, number one, the internet seeded with blogs and information to counter the right and to present what progressives represent for the benefit of us all to everybody so that it's not misread, misled by any other entity. We make sure and populate that internet with blogs, with videos, with all these other things to make sure that we are informed and to counter everything that you normally hear that are lying at the right. We also make articles in magazines, articles in newspapers all around the country to ensure, again, that our message gets out there. Last but not least, we also write books. As you see it, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom, How to Make America Utopia, are two of the many books that I've written on these issues. So please support us in one of many ways. Numero uno, you can support us at PayPal, either one time or monthly. Go to politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. You can support us on Patreon. That is politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Patreon is spelled Patreon. You can support us by becoming a part of our YouTube channel, going to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube, or you can support us in many other forms that you can find at politicsdoneright.com/support. Be sure to visit our store, politicsdoneright.com/store, and get our books at politicsdoneright.com. All right, folks, I hope you support us in whatever manner you can. In whatever manner you can. Again, the all-encompassing link to provide support is at politicsdoneright.com/support. Again, that is, and I forgot to pull it up as I was waiting because I was distracted doing something else. Today has been technological. Look, I really know what's generally going on in this room, the studio. But today I simply did not know what was going on. I don't know why the internet flaked out on me. I don't. But please provide support at politicsdoneright.com/support. Politicsdoneright.com/support. And please be sure to give us an up arrow on YouTube, on Facebook, and everywhere else. Please follow me on Twitter, which is at Egberto Willies, at Egberto Willies, at EGBERTO WILLIES. Replying to Roberto Lewis, we have only thing foreign aid is good, especially as part of soft power diplomacy, humanitarianism, especially after a crisis event, and less warmongering foreign policy. Sister Jan says, let's go, Brandon. Michael says, Egberto, hope you switch to that new ISP soon. Get things working properly. Yeah, I don't know what happened, so I'm going to go ahead and put the submission in for that new ISP today. And yes, Alistair is hot as hell today. Alistair is in our part of town, so yes, it's hot as hell. But we continue. I have one more video to show you. This one has to do with Eddie Glaude. Eddie Glaude talks about MAGA, something that we need to be very sure of going forward. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side. Eddie Glaude made a statement that it's important that we cauterize in our minds right now. There are some people in the MAGA crowd have no interest in real democracy. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
I want to say this really quickly. We need to stop believing that some of these folk on the Republican side are actually Democratic actors.
Meaning small d.
They are not Democrat. They are illiberal. And when we treat them as typical opponents, we're actually contributing to the problem, because some of these folks are using the democratic process to undermine democracy itself.
These folks do not believe in democracy. They believe in a democracy only where if they win, they win. If they lose, they win. And if we don't understand that, we will lose the big picture. And the media better get it. The Democratic Party better get it. Everyone better understand it, because these guys are out to kill. All right, I want to entertain my two right-wingers in the house right now. So bear with me, all of my great people here who say, why do you pay attention to them? And that is because they are paid attention to by quite a few people in America. Sister Jan says, 40-year inflation, unaffordable gas and grocery prices, baby food shortages, and a mess at the border importing fentanyl. Okay, let's take those individually. 40-year inflation rate, okay, caused by whom? The private sector. Unaffordable gas and grocery prices caused by whom? The private sector. Baby food shortages and a mess at baby food shortages caused by whom? The private sector. And border problems, fentanyl, private sector. So all these problems that you know, it makes, I want to be kind in the way I talk to people, because here's the problem, Sister Jan. I think most people, I don't fall well within the bell curve in the levels of intellect. And they should never allow ideology, however, to make them not smart. And even when Trump was in office, I said it was good that Trump released the money so that we could get the vaccines paid for. But when it comes to what occurred because of all those missteps, it takes a small, let me rephrase that. I don't want to get caustic. You make yourself seem so much less intelligent when you try to assert that a president like Biden, who reinflated the economy using Keynesian techniques, are somehow responsible for the problems, each of you which you describe, that was directly caused by the private sector. And let's enumerate. Are we having some supply chain problems? Yes. Why did we have some supply chain problems? Because of the failure of the private sector. How did that happen? Because the private sector decided to do two things. They decided to have offshore manufacturing. In other words, they sold out the American jobs for cheap labor overseas. The American worker, and Biden didn't do that. The private sector did that. And at the same time, they implemented something called just-in-time inventory. Just-in-time inventory says we don't keep a lot of the products we need to build things here in the States in stock. We just make sure that as we need it, the ships come in from the places we outsource these products from. So two things created the supply chain problem, and both of them are the private sector. Just-in-time inventory, where we don't keep enough inventory on hand, and two, that we offsource just about everything. And who did that? The private sector. When it came to the milk shortage, the private sector was poisoning your kids. The private sector was poisoning your kids. Government forced them to clean their act up, and to clean their act up, they had to stop producing. Again, failure of the private sector. Then you ask, wait a minute, why didn't we have more different manufacturers of formulas out there? Again, the private sector paid off government entities to support, to allow the existence of monopolies. Otherwise, we would have split those companies up as they grew too big and took over too large a part of the economy, of their economy in producing formula. Again, who's the problem? The private sector. So let's continue with your enumeration, Miss Sister Jan. And as far as inflation, I think we spoke about that. The only entity with pricing power is the private sector. I don't like it that way. I would have government nationalize all industries that are responsible for critical things in our economy. That would be energy would be nationalized, certain levels of food would be nationalized, and utilities would be nationalized, meaning internet, meaning all these other things. Because one of the problems in our internet as well is that companies have to get their depreciative results out of some of their build-outs, so therefore new technology may take decades before it gets to certain places. Again, failure of what? The private sector. Whereas, let's give an example. In the military, which is done by the government, if a particular product is obsolete and is of no use, the government has the right to say, we'll just not use it anymore. We don't have to make sure that we had not depreciated that or whatever the case may be. We just go ahead and say that is not useful anymore. Let's put in what's useful. Not in the private sector. So folks, you were designed, the Powell Manifesto was designed to keep a certain group in our community not very smart. It has done a good job with people like Tank Murdoch and Sister Jan. But I'm glad that Sister Jan is at politics done right, because what it gives you the opportunity to do is to learn, just like all of us here have learned. Just like all of us here have learned. And again, Eric, you just said blame game, time, spin the wheel. No. Please tell me, what did I say that was not true before you make a silly statement like that? What did I say that was not true? What did I say that was not accurate? Policy decisions of stacking energy in January 2021, that's a false statement. There's nothing that's stopping these companies from drilling. And the pipeline had nothing to do with it either. Again, you're lying to yourself and you're allowing it to happen. Fortune magazine says U.S. companies must post their biggest profit growth in decades by jacking up prices during the pandemic. Exactly. Biden has a 60% disapproval rating on the economy. I want him to control of energy, food, etc. Again, it's not surprising where his popularity rating is when everybody else is misinformed as far as what he's doing. And look, I'm no Biden fan. Biden is a neoliberal. He's sowing what he reaped. Biden is sowing what he reaped. Biden could have really tackled a lot of things by forcing Manchin and others using all kind of techniques to do it. He didn't. Again, he's a neoliberal as well. But he's a neoliberal that was willing to do certain progressive things if he had the backing of all. He didn't, and he didn't push it. So folks, it takes some good thinking, good analysis to understand these things, and I'm glad to see that the vast majority of our audience is. And I hope to bring along those of you who are not yet there. And I'm trying to do it without I'm not questioning your intelligence. I'm questioning your willful ignorance. Okay? We are all just as intelligent. But what I am questioning is your willful ignorance. You choose to be ignorant. You choose to do that, some of you. That's all. You choose that. You've chosen that. E2247 says the cracks will widen. GOP leaders now know that from here. The case against 45 and his people will intensify. The J6 committee has the goods, and if Thursday night was an indication, they will be delivered in compelling narratives as they were this morning as well. You did not finish reading my statement and have nothing to back up each point to prove it. I did finish reading your statement, not because I didn't read it aloud. I don't think you really want to be embarrassed, do you? Well, I can do that if you will, sir. Policy decisions of sticking energy in January 21 is direct result of Biden's killing energy development and his administration slow walking pipelines and canceling others. That statement can easily be debunked. The pipeline was not used to transmit oil that was coming to the United States. It was used to transmit dirty Canadian oil, period, to reduce the cost of those shipping dirty Canadian oil. We could get a lot, if we could get that same dirty oil from Venezuela yesterday. So that's a silly, uninformed statement. I just didn't want to come out and tell it to you that graphically, but it's a silly, uninformed statement. LNG was not being permitted by lack of approvals by Biden administration attack on energy. That's another silly statement. LNG ports have been or are being built. One just exploded and showed why we take our time to do these things. Do we want another Texas City explosion? I don't think so. Not loaning to fossil fuel companies by regulating a bank's attack on fossil energy companies, that is a silly statement. That's the private sector. That's not the government sector. So you're saying you in your statement there, Mr. Hayes, have just said the private sector fails. So there you go. I didn't want to go through them individually like that. You tricked me into doing it, and I just proved how nonsensical your paragraph was, and a paragraph designed without having read the things you needed to read. Okay? So your paragraph was made up of 3 silly, uninformed statements. I didn't want to tell you that, so I just ignored it. There you go. Michael Rudden says, Egberto, Biden could have played hardball with Manchin, especially as Manchin has 2 serious flaws that could be I know. He could have really forced Manchin to act, but he is a neoliberal. From The Intercept, Heather Birch, Joe Manchin's daughter played direct part in EpiPen inflation scandal. Yes, emails show the former Mylan CEO worked with her counterpart at Pfizer to corner the market, and he could have blackmailed him into saying, you are going to support this or else. And he should have done that. But he is a neoliberal. Eric Hayes, okay, you are right all the time. No, I'm not right all the time, but when I'm right, I'm right. When Rudnan is right, he's right. You just happen to put something that the right wing likes to spin, but it's something that makes absolutely no sense and can be proven wrong every single time. Stick with politics done right and get informed. Tom C. says, as pain at the pump continues, the U.S. is exporting as much oil as it is importing as gas prices go up. Texas continues to ship the oil and gas we produce overseas. Why? That's why we need to nationalize the industry. That's why we need to nationalize the industry. Carl Foster, American MSM is poison. I can't disagree with you. Anyway, folks, I got to get out of here. I thank you so kindly for spending this time with me. I'm so sorry for the initial problems we had with our system. We'll try to clean that up, and we'll see how we put this together as one program. Michael says, I'm not right all the time, but I always source to high factual sources. When I'm wrong, it's because one of them got something wrong. And you cop to it. And Sister Jan says, we are the Saudi Arabia of oil. Brandon can't tie his shoes. Sister Jan, I think your statements say a lot about you, my dear sister. Anyway, my name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you.
Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.